Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got some wild stories today coming at you. Stories have come out that Shedeur Sanders, he partied with $1 million cash. We're going to talk about that. Also, Atlanta has been fined $350,000 for a very stupid prank by a punk kid. And it all involves Shedeur Sanders.
Again.
Let's start out with the easiest of the two. And that's the prank call by one of the coach's sons for the Atlanta Falcons that he pulled on Shedeur the night of the draft, which was pretty stupid. Now, what happens is all the recruits that they believe will get drafted, especially if they're going to get drafted high, get a special phone. It's an NFL phone. It's only for coaches to call the kids and let them know you've been drafted. Well, one of the coach's kids wrote down the number, and the following happened.
Now to the NFL draft drama surrounding Shedeur Sanders. Deion Sanders' son was the victim of a prank phone call that led him to believe that he was about to be drafted by the New Orleans Saints. ABC's Lara Spencer has more.
This morning, the NFL investigating this prank call to draft hopeful Shedeur Sanders, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, picking up the phone Friday, thinking it was a coach inviting him to join the team.
This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
How you doing?
Good, how are you, man?
Good, been waiting on you.
Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man.
No, for sure.
We're going to take you with our next pick right here, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's be legendary.
Yeah, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, man.
The caller abruptly hanging up.
What does that mean? You heard that?
You said you're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Nobody got that number but coaches, strictly for that reason.
But it wasn't a coach or anyone from an NFL team.
This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
Instead, it was these young men seen in this video circulating on social media, impersonating New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis.
We're going to take you with our next pick right here, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's be legendary.
Yeah, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, man.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
The Atlanta Falcons releasing a statement saying Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, found the number and was responsible for the call. That video showing Ulbrich and a friend making the call. Ulbrich apologizing to Shedeur on Instagram, writing, "I'm so sorry I took away from your moment. It was selfish and childish." And Sanders is trying to put the whole thing behind him.
This is what it is. I think of course the dude was childish. Of course I feel like it was a childish act, but everybody do childish things here and there.
Well, that was nice of Shedeur to accept the apology, but the NFL did not. As a matter of fact, they fined the Atlanta Falcons $350,000, $250,000 to Atlanta, and $100,000 for the coach. Jax Ulbrich, who is the son that made the mistake. Of course, you know, it said he apologized, etc. Looks like there's also going to be some community service involved in making up for this. So that kid, he's not going to get off with just his dad getting a $100,000 fine. Now, that's an expensive phone call right there, dude. But here's the thing. Shedeur is such a magnet that people just they almost like can't help themselves or something. That was just, God, that was dumb. You know, a 21-year-old being an idiot. But speaking of a young person making a mistake, I have been trying to cut slack for Shedeur because I think he's a heck of an athlete. And a lot of you folks have been giving me a ton of grief over that. I thought he was a first-round talent. I really believe that. But he just keeps, the shenanigans have got to stop. You know, I thought dropping to the 5th round would sort of settle him down a little bit and he might take things a little bit more serious. Well, he went out and partied instead with $1 million cash. Yeah, and it was in a Louis Vuitton case, of all things, which Deion Sanders, of course, is known for his Louis Vuitton. And here's pictures of it right here. You see the two bags filled with cash, and you can see the money right there in $100 bills. And some people were saying it was only $100,000. And Deion Sanders Jr. said, let's get the story correct. He said it was actually a gift that he received, and it was $1 million. So you can see the picture a little bit better right there. Now, I don't know if that's $1 million or not because I've never seen that much cash in a Louis Vuitton before. It looks like a whole lot. It says Deion didn't say who gave Shedeur the money. Who knows? Said he partied until around 2 a.m. with his family and friends, etc., and sang a song or two. Now, here's what I'll say about that. If you're going to walk around with $1 million in cash, you might want to be a little bit more careful than that. People will hurt you for that money badly. One of the things that everybody was concerned about, the coaching staff especially, was that there would be a whole lot of distractions with picking him. So that's one of the reasons why he basically left $30 million on the table for all of the distractions that he creates by, being a social media sensation. He's a sensation. There's no doubt about that. All eyes are on him. But when you do that, coaching staffs hate that. They don't want any part of that. They want a guy that's going to be in bed at 11 o'clock and up at 7 and ready to play football, which is why they picked Cam Ward first pick, and he got $50 million. Instead, Shedeur, who should have been the second quarterback picked, he gets a $4.6 million deal for 4 years. So instead of making $10 million a year, he's going to make $1 million. So I guess that's his $1 million that he's going to make this year, which is still great money, but when you leave $30 million on the table, that's frustrating. And it has not been unnoticed by veteran players who don't like that kind of thing. And Chris Carter of Minnesota Vikings fame, All-Pro, had something to say about it.
All right, so what happened with Shedeur Sanders?
Well, a number of things happened. The number one thing that didn't happen was there was not a collusion message with the NFL owners.
Okay, what? Okay, a lot of people think that.
Because they wouldn't be able to keep a secret like that. And
so they might do it, but they couldn't shut up about it.
They wouldn't be able to shut up about it. But every owner is very, very selfish. Now, why would I do something to my detriment? Like if I need a quarterback and I think this kid is it, what he didn't realize is the guys that have fallen in the draft before, they all had unusual traits. Like they had some superstar qualities to them. Now, some other things happened that made them fall, but Shedeur and his family, they overplayed their hand. Them thinking that he was in the same evaluation mode as Eli Manning, they didn't play that right. Them trying to narrow the teams that he was going to go to, that didn't do right. Not working out at the combine, that wasn't the right thing. His interview process, obviously he could have done a lot better in that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people left that meeting, felt he was very, very entitled. Well, the thing about it, they didn't draft him.
I know that.
So it's not the tape. And he likes guys to be a little more open before he lets it go. And he doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not a big guy. He's not overly athletic. Mm-hmm. So his measurables are not, say, first-round measurables. But he played football like a first-rounder.
But his tape's first-round tape. But his measurables are not first-round measurables.
Well, you don't play football all the time. You're a human being the rest of the time. And how you're going to be in the locker room, how he already came up with this line of merchandise, legendary, like he's already calling himself legendary. All those things are problems. I listened to too many of his answers. I saw too many of the outtakes. I saw too many times he was working out with other players, and he said things that I thought were highly questionable for my franchise quarterback.
So like what?
When he was working out with Cam Ward, him and Cam Ward, the number one pick.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to cut a rap video together? No, I want to be known as a football player.
And he's like, what do you do for fun? He's like, I play football. Like,
you're in the NFL for a long time. Yeah. So your interview, your tape, people in the room that see you, someone can like you in the room. They might not draft you 5-10 years later, man.
You're looking for a guy, you're looking to trade, and they remember your interview.
Yes.
The interview you had.
It's a small world.
Yeah, I really hadn't thought about that, the long term of it. But yeah, a lot of those guys that are in those rooms that he was sandbagging on and basically giving out bad interviews, possibly on purpose because he didn't want to go to that team. Well, 5 years from now, that might be a very different team, but many of the people inside there could be the same. And they're going to remember you showing up, not being ready, not caring about their questions and all that, when you might be, quite good and have a chance to sign a $100 million contract, and they're going to go, I remember that guy. I don't even want to meet with him. So those things can follow you. So unfortunately, now seeing he's partying with $1 million and doing all that kind of stuff, I'm starting to think that maybe he's not going to learn anything from this. He's probably going to have a tough go of it for a while until he either learns that, hey, I'm going to have to be a professional, or he can just keep being social media guy. And, he'll make good money. He'll make $1 million a year. And eventually, he'll retire and he can, do his social media stuff. And that's fine too. It's not like he's going to be poor or anything like that. But you would like to see somebody with that level of talent see what they can do with it, because he could be a terrific quarterback in the NFL if he would get focused. But if he's going to do that till 2 a.m. and he's going to continue to be on social media, you're going to be way behind anybody else. Like a Cam Ward, who's going to Tennessee, who I really look forward to watching, he's going to be so far ahead of you, it's not even funny. I mean, you got to learn the playbook. You got to figure things out. You got to be able to read defenses, and you're not going to be able to do that out 2 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, this is unfortunate. I've got a little bit of egg on my face on this one, because I thought he would be a absolute steal in the 5th round. Maybe he deserved the 5th round. Now, I will stand by my thing that I thought hiring Deion Sanders at Colorado was a terrific hire, and I've got proof of that. And right here it is. Here's when he came to Colorado. They were 1-11, absolute dumpster fire. The first year he's there, and if you'll remember, he sent a lot of people packing, and he took a lot of grief over that. And he basically said, this is a 1-11 team. If you're not going to get with the program with me, right there's the door. And he brought in a bunch of transfer guys and kind of changed the culture and made it clear we're here to win. So the next year he won 4 ball games, which is still not that great, because, that's not much better than 2 years before, but he was improving things. Well, then he went 9-4. They hadn't won 9 games since 2016, so 10 years just about. And they hadn't won 9 games prior to that until 2002, which is 23 years ago. So he's done a great job of getting this team on board and winning at almost a 70% level, which is way better than they were.
I'm sorry, winning. You starting to get the concept now? Oops, winning.
And as you can see, top 25, a high of top of 16th in the country. And oh, by the way, this is the crowd in 2022 when they're playing a game. There's how many people are in that stadium. This is 2023, sold out. You know how much money that puts in the coffers of an athletic department when you've got sold out versus less than half full? It's monumental. So he's been a great hire for Colorado, so I stand by that. But the shenanigans of Shedeur and all that kind of stuff, it's a bit of a circus. And maybe he didn't deserve to be in the 1st or 2nd round, even though that's where I thought he should have been. I'm starting to change my mind on that a little bit, because I really thought going in the 5th round would kind of change his mindset, but it doesn't sound like it is. And he needs to be careful with that money. You walk around with $1 million, people get wind of that, they'll hurt you for it bad. So anyway, I'm going to still hold some hope that he's going to grow up a little bit, because he's still a young man. But people are not amused by it, and especially these veterans like Chris Carter and all these guys that are running the NFL, that's a serious business, and they take it seriously. And if you're going to goof around, they're not going to treat you right. Anyway, I wasn't planning on covering this, but man, just big story after big story keeps coming out about Shedeur. That's the one thing. He gets the eyeballs. And it's funny, we kind of went through that recently with NICO, and now NICO's out at UCLA. We got Joey Aguilar. He's, of course, committed just a couple of days ago, actually, believe it or not. And he's all excited. He said he can't wait to get in there and start playing for Tennessee and being a Vol. So a very serious guy that we'll see how he does. The comparisons between NICO and Joey are going to be unbelievable. It's going to be all year long. It's going to be, what were NICO's stats? What were Joey's stats? There's no way to get away from that. It's going to be all year long. It's the Jelly of the Month Club.
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
That it is, Edward.
But I am almost glad that that whole constantly having something held over you all the time by NICO, wanting more money, wanting more money, wanting more money. It gets a little bit old. So maybe having somebody that really wants to be here is going to be better for us at Tennessee. We'll see, but everybody's eyes are going to be on Joey. I hope he can handle that stress. He comes from Appy State via UCLA. NICO thinks he's going to go out there where there's only going to be about half the crowd there. It'll be like Colorado was prior to Deion getting there. UCLA just doesn't, there's just not a lot of interest in football. But maybe that'll pick up a little bit with him out there, maybe. I kind of doubt it, but there's still going to be plenty of eyes on him. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. Well, there's plenty of them. And if you haven't subscribed to Boom Boom Boom, hit this little button right there. It won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. Gotta be careful with that money, man. Jeez.
And you know, you flash this kind of wad in front of some people, they'll kill you for it.